We're now going to look at how to evaluate an indice which has a negative fractional power. The first thing we do is take a look at the base. So the base of our indice is 0.36. We want bases to be fractions or improper fractions. So let's change 0.36 into a fraction. Well, 0.36 is 36 divided by 100, which is the same as 36 over 100. So change the base into a fraction, copy the brackets in, and then copy the power down. If the base can be simplified, this fraction can be simplified, go ahead and simplify it. So the largest number that goes into 36 and 100 is going to be 4. So divide both by 4. That's going to give us 9 over 25. Copy your brackets down and then copy your negative power down. Okay, now we've dealt with the base. The next thing we deal with is the negative power. Now, Indices Rule 4 says to get rid of a negative power, you have to flip the numerator and denominator of the base upside down. And that's what we're going to do now. We're going to apply Indices Rule 4 to get rid of the negative power. So to get rid of the negative power, what we then do is we flip the base upside down. So we're now going to get 25 over 9. And because we flipped the base upside down, the power is now positive. So it's just positive 3 over 2. Now we deal with the fractional power. Remember, the denominator tells us what root we're going to take of the base, and the numerator is the power that goes outside the root. So we're going to take the square root of 25 over 9. Then we're going to put brackets around the root. And then remember, the numerator here is the power that goes outside the root. So the power that goes outside the root is just 3. So we're taking a square root of a fraction, so we can break it up into 2 separate square roots. So we can take the square root of the top line, 25. And that goes over the square root of the bottom line. Copy our brackets down, and then copy our power outside. So the square root of 25, we're looking for a number that multiplies by itself to give 25. Well, that's just going to be 5. And then that's all over. We're looking for a number that multiplies by itself to give 9. So the square root of 9 is just going to give us 3. And again, copy our brackets down, and then copy down the power outside. So the power outside here tells us how many bases are being multiplied. So there are 3 5/3 being multiplied. So we write it as 5/3 multiplied by 5/3 multiplied by 5/3. And then there's no cancelling, so multiply the top numbers, we get 125. And then multiply the bottom numbers, 3 3s are 9, 9 3s are 27. And again, that's our answer. So our answer is 125 over 27. Remember, evaluate means your answer is a numerical value with no visible power. Now, remember the process here. Step 1. Make sure that the base here is a fraction or an improper fraction. So deal with the base first. Keep the power the same. Deal with the base, cancel the base, keep the power the same. Then once the base is sorted, we have to get rid of the negative power. So you flip the base upside down and then the power becomes positive. Then you deal with the fractional power. So the denominator tells you the root that you take of the base, and then put brackets around it, and then the numerator of the fractional power is the power that goes outside the root. Okay. Okay, and then it's just the same as what we've been doing. So this is really a mixture of rules 4 and 5 that we're applying. Again, let's check it on the calculator to see have we done it correctly. So if we type the question in, it was 0.36 and the power was -3/2. Okay, so moment of truth. Do we get 125/27? Absolutely. So again, use your calculator only as a check, but when you're doing the question, you have to go through this process. Okay, let's look at part B. So part B, we've got 2 1/4, and that is to the power of -1.5. Okay, first of all, let's look at the base. Is the base a fraction or an improper fraction? No, it's a mixed fraction. So let's turn it into an improper fraction. 4 2s are 8 and 1's 9, and put that over the original denominator. So we've now got 9/4. And then the power is negative. Now, I don't like the fact that the power here is a decimal. Let's turn the power into a fraction. So 1.5 is the same as 3/2. And that's a bit better. Now, we've dealt with the base. Next thing we need to do is get rid of the negative power. So to get rid of the negative power, you flip the base upside down. So let's flip the base upside down. We're now going to get 4/9. And because we flip the base upside down, the power now becomes positive. So it's just 4/9 to the power of 3/2. Now we deal with a fractional power. So the denominator of the fractional power tells us what root to take. So we're going to take the square root of the base, which is 4/9. Then we'll put brackets around the root. And then the numerator of the fractional power is the power that goes outside the root. So we put the 3 outside. Because we're taking a square root of a fraction, we can break the square root up into the square root of the numerator over the square root of the denominator. So we're going to get the square root of 4 all over square root of 9. And then our power outside is 3. So again, we're taking the positive square root of 4, so we're looking for a number that multiplies by itself to give 4. Well, that's just going to be 2. And then all over positive square root of 9, so we're looking for a number that multiplies by itself to give 9. That's just going to be 3. Then put our brackets around it. And then copy our power down here of 3. So the base of our indices is 2/3 and the power here is 3. Remember, the power tells you how many bases we're multiplying, so we're multiplying 3 of these 2/3. So that's going to be 2/3 multiplied by 2/3 multiplied by 2/3. So multiply all the top numbers. 2 2s are 4, 4 2s are 8. And then bottom numbers, 3 3s are 9, 9 3s are 27. And again, our answer is fully cancelled, and our answer is 8/27. That's what evaluate means. Give your answer as a numerical value with no visible power. So let's type it into our calculator to see have we done it correctly. So we have 2 1/4. I'll type in 2.25, and then the power here is -1.5. And again, we get 8/27. Okay, let's look at our last example. So example C. Okay, we want to evaluate. They've given us a division here, and we've got indices, we've got bases, and then we've got powers. Okay, first thing we want to deal with is any decimals. We want to get rid of decimals and turn them into fractions. So let's take 9 to the power of 0.5 then. So I'm going to take 9 to the power of 0.5 by itself, and we're going to work out what this is. So 9 to the power of 0.5. 0.5 is a half, so that's the same as 9 to the power of a half. Now, good news is the power is positive here, so we don't need to flip the base. So straight away we can deal with the fractional power. Remember, the fractional power is such that the denominator tells you what root to take, so we're going to take the square root of 9. Put brackets around it, and the numerator of the fractional power is the power that goes outside the root. So we're taking the square root of 9, which means we're looking for a number that multiplies by itself to give 9. That's just going to be 3. Copy down the power outside. The power here tells you how many bases are being multiplied. There is only one 3 being multiplied, so we've just got 3. So we've worked out what 9 to the power of 0.5 is. Let's work out what 36 to the power of minus a half is. Okay, first of all, we've got 36, and its power here is negative. Now, because the power is negative, we're going to have to flip the base upside down in order to make the power positive. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to write 36 as a fraction. I'm going to write it as 36 over 1. And then copy down the power. I'm now going to flip 36 over 1 upside down to make the power positive. So the power is now positive a half. Now we're going to deal with a fractional power. So the denominator tells us what root we have to take of the base. So we're going to take the square root of 1 over 36. Put brackets around the root, and then the numerator of the fractional power is the power that goes outside the root. So we're taking the square root of a fraction, so we can break up the square root into 2 square roots. So we're going to take the square root of the numerator, and that's all over the square root of the denominator. And again, put our brackets in and put our power outside. So the positive square root of 1 here is just going to give us 1. Positive square root of 36 is just going to give us 6. And then copy down our outer power of 1. So the power tells us how many bases are being multiplied. There is only one base being multiplied of 1/6, so our answer there is just 1/6. Now, we've worked out what 9 to the power 0.5 is. We've worked out what 36 to the power minus a half is. So we now have to go back and do this division. So we're now going to go back. So 9 to the power 0.5 is just 3. Copy down our division sign. 36 to the power minus a half is just a 6th. So replace it with a 6th. So we're now working out 3 divided by 1/6. Well, you can't divide with fractions, so you change it to a multiply sign, and you flip the numerator and denominator of the second fraction. And then we just do our multiplying. 3 times 6 is going to give us 18. 18 divided by 1 is just going to give us 18. And that is our final answer. Again, let's use the calculator to check it. So we have 9 to the power 0.5. We're dividing by 36 to the power of minus a half. So do we get 18? Let's find out. There you go. So again, the calculator is a useful check, but we should be working through our indices rules here to get our answer. So that was an exam type question. Work out what 9 to the power 0.5 is, work out what 36 to the power negative a half is, and then go back and do the calculation.